Hello creative friends, this is Joy. So I have all of these leftover pieces from when I created a bunch of journals, and instead of putting them in my scrap pile with all the other scraps, I decided to go ahead and sort them and try to turn them into ephemera and fodder for the journals that I created. So the first thing I decided to do is take these strips and make them into hidden paper clips. And so that's what I'm doing here. I just folded the paper in half. I stuck the paper clip on there. Then I folded up both sides the length of what the paper clip is, and I glue both sides down. And I'm just using Fabri-Tac glue to glue both sides down. So I ended up turning these scraps into quite a few different things. So this particular video is the hidden paper clips that I created, and I also created some mini pockets with mini tags. And so I've decided to kind of combine a couple of these things into the videos so that it doesn't drag on for so long, and gives a little bit more substance to the videos than instead of having like 5 minutes or 3 minutes showing you how to do a hidden paper clip, which a lot of people do it a lot of different ways, but this is the way I found the easiest. Just to fold it in half, stick the paper clip on there, fold up both sides and glue them down, and then you can always trim off the top, the whatever, difference there is that you want to cut off. And these particular hidden paper clips actually is going to be like tabs on a page, and so you'll see what I mean here in a little bit. Here I'm just going through my sticker stash and deciding what to put on these paper clips, and I have these stickers. It's like floral with butterflies, so I chose a couple of those to put on these tags that I thought would go well. And that's how, just a simple decoration. And then I rounded the corners, and then I'll show you here when I stick it on a page, it'll stick up above the page, so it's like a little tab. This one here was a little tall, so I cut off a little bit more of that and then rounded the corners again. And then I went around and inked the edges. On this one, I inked it with some red ink since, the paper is red. I could have done them all with just some brown ink, but I decided to, match the color of the paper. And I'm deciding on, what color would go well on this tag. I don't want to use like a pink or red because then it, kind of will blend in too much with the background. So I'm trying to pick another color that, will stand out a little bit. And then trimming off any excess on the edges. And there you go. Easy peasy, a couple of hidden paper clips for my journal. And here I'm inking around the green one with some green ink. I could have cut that red one down a little bit further, but I didn't. So the next thing, I decided that I wanted to make some pockets out of these strips here that I had. They seemed wide enough to make some little mini pockets, but I wanted the pockets to have like a window in them. So I have this little square die that I'm using that seems to be the right size. And I saved those inside pieces because I'm going to do something different, with those later on. And then I have just some plastic here that I saved from some kind of packaging. I always try to cut off and save any kind of plastic from packaging just in case I need it for something such as this. And I'm measuring to see where I need to cut it to be the right width for these pockets. And then I'm cutting myself enough pieces to put into these pockets. And there I was just trimming off to make it straighter. because sometimes when I cut these pieces off of packaging, I don't, really cut straight. I just, cut them off as quickly as I can and then throw them in my stash, and usually I have to go back and kind of straighten them up a little bit. So I fold the pockets in half, as you see here. And I'm not too worried about them having a hole in there because that'll be at the bottom and you won't really see it anyway. And it could have been, more towards the back, but I don't think it matters. And then I'm taking my plastic pieces and some Paperclips glue, and I'm gluing those in. So I put my glue down, put the piece of plastic down, put some more glue on the edges, and then close the pocket. And I haven't trimmed off the tops of these just yet, which I do end up doing that. I go back and trim the top off. They're a little tall. But right now I'm just trying to get them glued down with the plastic piece in there. So like I said, I have quite a few videos coming up where I make a bunch of different fodder and ephemera for decorating the journals that I made. And to cut down on the number of videos, I ended up combining a lot of things. So the next video that I have planned is stamps and Polaroid pictures. So now that I've got those glued down, I'm just, deciding on how tall I want, the pockets, how much needs to be cut off. And I'm just checking. And I decided that the best thing is to cut it off even with the plastic piece. So that way you don't accidentally try to slide something, in front of the plastic piece. And then I realized I had to add a little bit more glue along that top edge to make sure that that front top edge is glued down to the plastic piece. And then just double checking that I didn't glue the pocket shut, because that is a real concern that could happen. So here I'm going ahead and doing that with all 4 of these. I'm trimming it off to the length of the plastic piece and then making sure the top is glued down. And so here I went through my stash and